Hey everyone, and welcome to Pass the Popcorn, my YouTube channel where I rate and review and give my personal opinion of movies that I recently watched. Tonight's movie was The Imitation Game from 2014. It's PG13. It runs a little close to 2 hours long. It is a true story, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as Alan Turing and Keira Knightley as Joan Clark. This movie won a lot of awards and was nominated for even more. One of them award winners was People's Choice. This movie was really good. It's based on the true story of Alan Turing, who is a top-rated mathematician in England during World War II. This movie runs on 3 different timelines. One is when he is a boy in an all-boys school. He deals with being bullied, but he does have one true friend. The second timeline is his actual work during World War II. And then after the war is the third timeline, where he is being investigated for suspicion of being a spy. I'm going to talk more about his actual work during the war. He was hired with some other top-rated mathematicians. They worked out of what everyone else thought was a radio facility, a facility that made radios. There were a whole lot of people working there, men and women. Men having the higher rank, of course, back then. Women mostly did the clerical jobs. But he is hired with all these other mathematicians to figure out the German enigma that is basically coding that the Germans use to communicate through the radio airwaves. The Germans reset their coding every night at midnight, so if they haven't figured anything out at midnight, everything starts all over. They have to start from scratch all over again. I'm sorry, Alan Turing is mostly working on a machine that would decode everything instantly, is his project. Of course, all the other mathematicians, they get angry with him because they think he's wasting time. But he does gain the approval from Winston Churchill to make the decisions and make the calls, and he immediately fires 2 of them, and he puts an application out in the paper it's basically a crossword puzzle that he has made up, and anyone that can solve this crossword puzzle in less than 10 minutes comes in and applies even further, and they're handed another crossword puzzle, and they are to solve it in less than 6 minutes. This is where Keira Knightley's character comes in. Of course, she has trouble getting in because the guy at the door is trying to send her down to the secretarial pool, clerical. But Alan lets her in, and she actually solves the puzzle in less than 6 minutes and is the first one finished. But there's some problems with her being a woman. Her family, doesn't think that it's right that she will be living amongst these men and working amongst these men, and she's unmarried. But they figure out a way to sneak her in and have her be housed with the other women that work there in clerical, and they sneak her in, and he sneaks her notes, and they try to figure out things. But of course, he has trouble. Everyone thinks this isn't going to work. He makes this big machine with dials and wires, and you're really looking at it and you're really thinking about it. It's basically a computer. It's a diamond in the rough. it takes them a very long time to get it to work, and it takes one simple little phrase that someone makes in passing to make the light come on and figure out how to get it to work, and it does. The movie goes on through the end of the war. These mathematicians and Alan Turing and Keira Knightley's character, Joan Clark, are a big help and a big result of the war coming to an end. And of course, it was all top secret, and none of this was released until 50 years after the war ended. It's very interesting. I think that with how things are going in America today and across the world and other free countries, that this movie is a huge reminder of what past generations went through to secure freedom and make the world what it is today, and what they fought for. Not only war and fighting for freedom, but bullies, being bullied. Of course, there wasn't no good determination of a good outcome for bullies back then. They basically have to suffer through it. But another thing that's eye-opening and a good reminder of how things have evolved and how the past generations had to suffer through horrific treatments solely based on their sexuality. And that's where I think that this movie gets a PG-13. There's some sexuality issues. I think there was one cuss word, and that was it. And I think also the PG-13 rating is because there are some minor war injury scenes, and of course just talking about and dealing with war. But watch this movie. It's an eye-opener. It's a reminder of what past generations have gone through, not just for freedom of the countries, but for what, like I said before, horrific treatment of what people went through based solely on their sexuality. I give it a 4.5. This was a really good movie. I highly recommend it. This is my highest rating yet, a 4.5 out of 5. So watch The Imitation Games. I know it's been out there for a while. Take a chance on it. I believe you'll like it. Thank you for watching, and please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you, and have a good night.